Hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast. I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Jared Wolfe of Portraits by Jared Wolfe. Jared, it's awesome to have you on the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Definitely super excited to have you on. And before we jump into the interview, I want to read a little bit more about Jared so you can hear about all the awesome things that he's doing. And Jared runs Portraits by Jared Wolfe, a photography studio in Alexandria, Virginia. He shoots headshots for professionals, actors, models, and portraits for families, babies, and maternity. He has been in business for 5 years. Jared, are you ready to speak to the I Am CEO community?
I sure am.
Awesome. Well, let's do it then. So to kind of kick everything off, I wanted to rewind the clock a little bit, hear a little bit more on how you got started, what I call your CEO story.
Yeah. So, I think I really kind of jump-started things 5 years ago by just kind of taking the plunge into the water of just kind of opening a studio space. And I did that somewhat foolishly, just kind of thinking that, if I magically have a studio, I'll magically start having customers. And then quickly realized that was not quite the case, and quickly had to actually start learning the business side of, photography, and how do you actually get customers, and, what do people actually want, and like what actually sells, and how to actually have business processes and marketing and all these little things that are part of a business. And yeah, that's really kind of how I started. It was just struggling that first year just to kind of keep the lights running, and how do I do this? And eventually getting it to the point where it was a consistent, revenue moneymaker kind of thing, by sort of offering those right products and services, and sort of knowing where to focus my time and energy on which services and things.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. And I love that metaphor of jumping in the deep end, because I think a lot of times when you're first getting started with a business and have that startup period, you feel like you're in the deep end trying to, tread water. But I think so many times, we fall in love with our products and services and the things that we're doing. We think automatically once we put out that open sign or get our studio or build it, that people will come in. But there's definitely a lot more, that goes into business. So I appreciate you for highlighting that, and love that you've been able to kind of understand that, and then of course been able to kind of zero in on how to make that happen in your business, and to have that success that you've been able to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So I know I read a little bit about what you do, and I wanted to drill down a little bit more here about, how you serve your clients, but also like the process and what that looks
like. Sure. So I'll probably focus a little bit more on the headshot side of things, just because that's an area that is probably my biggest sort of money maker. It's where I get most of my inquiries. It's a big part of my business. And I think it's also one of those things that right now is particularly hot and important, in part just because of the whole pandemic situation. More people than ever are now working online, no longer have quite that same physical presence. And, as a result, are discovering that, they really need to clean up and refine their sort of online presence. And a headshot is sort of a big part of that, sort of creating that online presence and visibility, so that you're no longer just sort of a name or a logo or some initials on a meeting software screen. You have a bit more of that human impact and human touch with people, even when you can't be there in person. And so, with my headshots, I almost always like to talk to people in person first, just to get an idea of sort of what it is they need the headshot for. What's their current headshot situation look like? Do they have no headshot? Do they have a current headshot, but it's just like a crappy iPhone shot or whatever it is? Just so I kind of know what people's current situation is. And so I can kind of, get a better understanding of where they are and where we want to go with their headshot. And as well as just kind of evaluate where and what all their needs are for their headshots, where their headshots are going to live. For people who just have a 9-to-5 job, that's probably just LinkedIn and maybe whatever else the company needs. But if you're someone who's kind of in business for yourself, or like a realtor or a doctor or someone who does their own business and kind of has to market themselves and be their own brand, a headshot can typically be a lot more involved, where they're going to need more images, more poses, and it's really good to kind of think a bit about, where those headshots are going to be living. What are your marketing places and things like that, so that you can have headshots that sort of fit all those different needs. So that's one of the reasons why I like to have at least kind of some touch base with people prior. But even people who just kind of book me on my online booker and just come straight in, some of that stuff I can kind of do on the fly and right there in the session, and we can kind of discuss some of those things during the session. And that's typically not a problem. I do have a real studio with a lot of equipment and things like that, so I can typically handle pretty much any situation on the fly. During the session, we'll just shoot a bunch of different poses. I'll give you a lot of instruction because most people don't really know how to magically look good in front of a camera. Looking good in front of the camera is a little different than just looking good in front of the mirror. And so I do a lot of just kind of coaching and just giving you ideas of what things you should be doing. And another important thing that I do is I show you immediately on the laptop what the results are, so that you can kind of see what the results are. Like, oh, naturally you go back and you look a little weird and you look like you're scared of your potential customer or client. But if you lean forward a little bit and push your head out, you're going to look a little better. And just little tricks like that, shifting your shoulders, all those things I'll kind of show on the screen to kind of see what's working, whether we like smiles, no smiles, all that kind of stuff, and get to see it on that laptop screen so that you can really kind of evaluate, okay, is this working? Is this not working? A lot of this stuff is going to be kind of just personal to how you want to present yourself, what line of business you're in. I have a lot of people who are from the Department of Defense who come over, and they want a real like serious military guy kind of headshot. And if you're a realtor, that's like the exact opposite of what you want. A realtor wants this super happy, welcome to the neighborhood, friendly headshot. My DoD guys don't want that, And so everybody's business needs is going to be a little different. What you wear, how you present yourself, serious, smile. And so like all of that's kind of discussed and kind of brought out during the headshot session. We see it on the screen. And in addition, depending on where your customer is in sort of your customer journey or funnel or whatever it is, you might want to present a different side of yourself. So it's good just to have some options to sort of choose from. And then, basically throughout the session, we'll kind of mark some images people like along the way. And at the end of the session, it's just, okay, which of these images do you actually want to purchase and keep? Which ones do you really want? And the other ones kind of get deleted. The ones that they want and they purchase, I work my Photoshop magic on and deliver those in a pretty quick and timely fashion. And really, that's kind of it. Sometimes there'll be some feedback in terms of retouching. They'll want some additional this or that. But in general, that's about it. Some other things that might come in sort of the post-session aspect are that I do digital backgrounds, which not a lot of other headshot photographers do. But that's something that I do and I highlight because I think it's very valuable and important, in particular from like a marketing standpoint. And so sometimes, I'll send customers or clients, a couple different background potentials for them to kind of choose from, and we can kind of figure out sort of what format that needs to be in, if it needs to be a wide, website banner, or it needs to be more of a vertical mobile banner, or whatever that format needs to be, a square for Instagram or things like that. And so, those are the types of things we'll kind of do potentially after the session. So
Nice. No, I definitely appreciate that. I love how you talked about that transition. I think so many times we don't realize that, a lot of times, a lot of digital guys will definitely, guys or gals, I should say, will say, your website, your online presence, your digital storefront. I love how you kind of talked about that transition, related to how people are going to know who you are, because we don't have as much of the face to face as we had, a year ago in many cases. But understanding, like, a lot of times if you look at your headshot and the way that you're presenting yourself, it can do so many different things, depending on if you're with the DoD versus a real estate agent or whatever
Mhm.
your position might be. And I think so many times people don't realize the kind of psychology behind it as well, too. Understanding, this is what I want people to see when they see me, or think when they see me. So the leaning forward that you mentioned, or really being able to kind of understand this is where it's going to end up, whether it be an Instagram or a banner, is some of those psychology pieces that I love that you kind of understand and get a feeling for. And I imagine that coaching and everything kind of falls in line with that. So I wanted to ask you for what I call your secret sauce, and this could be for yourself in the business or a combination of both. You might have already touched on this, but what do you feel kind of sets you apart and makes you unique?
Yeah, I think the thing that really makes my sessions unique is that I am focused on sort of that final destination of where that headshot is going to live. I think a lot of headshot photographers focus on just the photography side and getting a good photo, and they don't think a lot about where is this actually going to be, who's the actual customer, what are they trying to communicate to the customer about with this headshot. And so they'll focus on just getting like a good award-winning headshot that makes other photographers happy. And that's not necessarily bad. It's still going to be a good headshot, but it's just not going to be as useful as a headshot from a business and sort of marketing context and standpoint. And that's one reason why I really do focus on that. That where is it going to live? Who are you trying to, I guess, sort of persuade or market or impact to? Are you doing business to business or business to consumer? And just that's part of the reason why I offer those digital backgrounds and things like that, is just because having those sort of cutout images where you can be on any type of background really allows you to do all sorts of nifty things with like Facebook ads and Instagram ads and just a lot of other things, a lot of other marketing materials. A headshot of you on a gray background or a white background or whatever, it has a lot of limited use in terms of its marketability. And you can't just slap a picture of you on a gray background on any marketing material and ta-da, that's you. I think having those poses and those cutouts and those sort of design elements really just kind of takes a headshot to that next level that really creates a lot of value to my customers.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And I appreciate you for, again, beginning with the end in mind, so to speak, and understand this
Mm-hmm.
is the final destination. This is where it's going to be. This is the role that it's going to play, and that whole psychology piece, which I think so many people don't realize or kind of skip over, and don't. And of course, you get the opportunity to have a really good, headshot, but is that headshot going to be strategic for whatever it is your goal is hoping
Mm-hmm.
to be? And I love that you kind of drill down in on that. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I want to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be like an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but what's something that makes you more effective and efficient?
Ooh, um, I don't know. I feel like I'm always looking for ways to be more efficient and better at what I do. Um, I think some of the things that uh, I have used that have really helped me out are, and you've probably heard some of these before, are things like using a CRM, where you have some of those templates and things like that to make it easier to respond. Like there's no sense in writing the same email 10 times to 10 customers kind of thing. Like having those kinds of templates and things like that, automations and autoresponders and things like that can just make your life so much easier. But I think in general, just kind of looking for any way to sort of offload any of those routine tasks that you can easily outsource. There are certain things I can't outsource. I can't, easily outsource the being in studio and working with the customer stuff. But, once I take those images and they need to be retouched, I can offload some of that retouching to other resources. I can use automations and have templates and things like that. I think those are very valuable things that you can do to help maximize your efficiency and time, and allow you to be able to focus on those things that are more important to your business. How to grow it, how to build things further. So.
Yeah, I absolutely love, those mentions of hacks and just like the overall kind of purpose of it. Like you said too, I think so many times people forget that these things allow you to spend more time in the things that can't necessarily be replicated or can't be, scaled out. And I think when we realize that we all have kind of limited resources, especially time being one of those resources, we can start to kind of find those things, those CRMs, those tools that we can use and quote unquote automate, so that we are able to spend more time in our zone of genius and provide better service to our clients and customers.
Exactly.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I want to ask you now for what I call a CEO nugget. So this could be a word of wisdom or piece of advice. It might be something you would tell a client, or if you hopped into a time machine, you might tell your younger business self.
I think that would probably be that you are not your customer. I think a lot of people, when they start their business, they're very passionate about their product and what they do. And I think it's very easy for us to kind of imagine everyone being like us, that they have that same passion that we do and the same reasons and the same motivations and things like that. But, the reality is that might not necessarily be your customer's reason or need or value, or why they're doing something, and I think the more time and energy you spend sort of getting to know your customer and sort of really understanding what it is they want and need, what is it that's really going to help you add business value to them, that's really going to help you grow your business, and get to the point where you start getting more referrals and more repeat business and getting those great reviews, and just really pulling in more customers. I think things really start to grow the more you focus in on that customer, and focus less on your narrow preconceived concept of why you do what you do, or what your product is, or what it is you should offer. And just, really connecting with your customer as much as possible, and really finding out what's going to be of value to them.
Yeah, that's absolutely huge. It's so funny at this. I went to the networking group or organization, and they said everybody's listening to their favorite radio station, which is WIIFM, which is what's in it for me. And I think so many times we get so locked into thinking that what's in it for me is what's in it for you or the client, and not being able to kind of divorce the two of those things. But as you said so well, when you're really able to understand, put in the time and the energy to really truly understand the motivations, the things that are keeping them up at night, and how you can solve those problems, that's when you really get to build a better business, build greater products and services, and really make the impact that we're ultimately hoping to have.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So now I wanted to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on the show. So Jared, what does being a CEO mean to you?
Ooh, I mean, I guess it's the buck stops here kind of thing, where you're really the decision maker. You can't really blame anyone else. You really have to put the onus on you. And if in any kind of, I guess, sort of business failure, that's on you. I think a lot of people like to try and blame their customers or their market or their competition or a lot of things like that. But ultimately, you're in charge of your business. You have to figure out how to take that feedback, how to respond, how to re-strategize, how to build a better product, how to market yourself better, whatever that is that you need to do, how to price yourself better, whatever that is, to be able to respond to I guess sort of what that market's feedback is. If you're failing, there's something you're doing wrong and that you need to be doing better, you know? And, if you can find that solution, if you can find out, what it is you need to do better, then that's where you're going to start to really build and grow and, outcompete your competitors.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I feel like it's a lot of that responsibility, and I think that as you start to be honest and drill down, as you said so well, we don't look externally for the things that are causing us not to be successful, but we're looking internally for the things that are really kind of ultimately affecting us. So I think when we understand that and we start to drill down a little bit more, that's when we truly start to see the impact that we can ultimately have, and we understand that, as you said so well, the buck stops with us. Awesome. Well, Jared, I truly appreciate you taking some time out and doing, so many awesome things. What I wanted to do is ask if there's anything additional you want to let the readers and listeners know, and of course, how best they can get a hold of you and find out about all the awesome things you're working on.
Well, I mean, I think the easiest way to find me is, you can just Google my name, Google my business. I actually rank pretty well in my area for headshots. I get a lot of business from that. So, just searching my name or my business, you'll find me very quickly. And then as far as how to, connect with me, my email, phone number, contact form, all that information there is on my website. I try to make it as easy as possible for people to contact me. Once again, because I realize, my customers are not necessarily exactly like me. So I prefer to reach out to people by phone. But if you prefer to email, use the contact form, whatever, that's perfectly fine. I try to make it as easy as possible for people to contact me. So yeah, that's kind of the recommended way. I would have people contact me if they're interested in a headshot or other photography services.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, Jared, truly appreciate that. And to make it even easier, we'll have the links and information in the show notes as well, too. So people can just
There you
click through.
go.
There you go
Even
and
better.
find you. Exactly. Easy as pie, right? So, Jared, truly appreciate all the awesome things you're doing. Of course, the time you took today. And I hope you have a phenomenal rest of the day.
Thank you. You too.